The Las Conchas Fire burning near Los Alamos has grown to nearly 128,000 acres and continues to creep north. Winds are expected to push the fire generally to the northwest. Firefighters are working on containment lines to limit the fire's westward spread. It's now 27% contained. Las Conchas started near Cochiti Mesa, and in its first few hours, it blazed a trail of destruction there, burning dozens of homes.
Today, people who live in that area were allowed back in for the first time, hoping for the best, but dreading the worst. News 13's Amanda Goodman has more from Jemez.
The Sandoval County Fire Chief says after 8 days, it was finally safe enough to allow residents back in on a controlled basis.
So we got in there and we saw that some the structures did fine, and others, as you've probably heard, have burnt. But it was good for them to get in there and start seeing what they need to do to move forward in the future.
About 50 people showed up for these tours, and as I mentioned, it was a very controlled situation. People parked here at the Valles Caldera and then were escorted into burned areas by firefighters and sheriff's deputies for safety reasons. The Las Conchas Fire swept through 63 homes and cabins in the Cochiti Mesa area within hours after it erupted last Sunday. Some property owners who went on the tour say they weren't sure what they would see.
I didn't know what to expect. It's just, it's not a pretty sight. It's very ugly.
Even though people were allowed back in today, the fire chief says it's still just too dangerous to allow them to go home for good. In Jemez, Amanda Goodman, KRQE News 13.
Officials are not sure when the conditions will be safe enough to lift the evacuation order. There are still hot spots that could flare and other dangers like burned trees that could topple onto people.